We're back.
We're back.
What's going on?
Oh, it's nice. This is perfect timing for the Abbey Canucks to be free on YouTube tonight, so that's good to see.
Right? How about that? Thank you, Flow Hockey, for bringing some free Canucks coverage to the world.
Well, I thought it was very real
now-
chance that there would be some overlap because the Leafs game was a 5:00 start for some reason, but we got to see most of the period anyways. But let's start where we always do when we do Canucks game. Let's start with the ups and downs of the first period because I need some help. I missed the first 10 minutes. How many ups did you see out there for the Abbey Canucks so far?
Lots of physicality. You love to see it. Sammy Blais throwing his weight around like he's done all playoffs long. Jet Wu with a nice hip check. Guy coming across the blue line. You can see the penalty kill. What they've been doing all postseason. They are yet to give up a power play goal against. Sacrificing their bodies the way Mancini goes down to block a pass across. Mueller goes down to block a shot. Mueller's blocked tons of shots in the playoffs. I wish the AHL had better stat tracking for some of these things, like the hits that Blais has been throwing in the playoffs and the shots that Mueller's been blocking and some of these guys on the penalty kill have been blocking. I'm just so happy that so many more people are getting to see a little taste of what I've kind of been watching all season develop and become this young team that is just pushing further and further and pushing their ceiling higher and higher with every game. And Shilovs was a couple of big saves early. You said you missed the first 10 minutes. There was a turnover very early in the game in the Abbotsford end that could have resulted in a goal, but Shilovs stood tall and kept that out of the net. Colorado really pushed hard in the first 5 minutes, but Abbotsford was able to kind of right the ship. Some really nice forechecking that led to a hooking call where they almost they had some really close chances on the power play, but just couldn't get that last shot through or connect cleanly. But some really good puck movement and some good structure on the power play, looking for that bumper play and really good breakouts, moving the puck well with their feet and stuff like that. So some good ups there. Couple of downs, obviously, taking the too many men penalty. You don't want to be taking bench minors, especially in the playoffs. Those are the ones that usually end up costing you. Luckily, the penalty kill has been doing a really great job. So it looks like they should get out of this one. Only 13 seconds left going in the second period here. And yeah, just need to get a couple more shots on net, a few cleaner looks, and just waiting to see who cracks first.
I guess it's one of those things too. Obviously, to start the game, both these teams have had a little bit of time off, so they might take a minute for the rust to get dusted off. The rusty to get dusty. What?
Hey, I see what you did there.
But the one up I kind of was looking at, and it's the one thing I do like about it. I'll bring it up for the viewers here. They actually have it set up so you can actually see where the shots are coming from. And if you have a look at the shot chart for the Canucks so far, they've got their 5 shots here, and they're all below the face-off dots, and they're all in between the face-off dots. Whereas you can see for the Eagles on the side here, there is no shots from anywhere within the slot. Every single shot they've had so far. There's one from center ice, for damn sakes. The only one that you're a little concerned about is obviously that one that ended up going off the crossbar off of Shilovs right at the end there on the power play. But other than that, defensively, it looks like the Vancouver Canucks have had an up in keeping the Colorado Avalanche out of the slot.
Yeah, you talk about like the high danger scoring chances that they track in the NHL and stuff, and you look at that, and obviously Abbotsford has the lion's share in that department when it comes to high quality shots. Yeah, it's just really good stuff. They got to keep pushing, and they should be able to get one through here. The time off, you can tell that Manny kind of gave these guys the talk of like, okay, get into the game physically, and that'll get you back, your legs back under you and get you going. Abbotsford definitely threw far more hits in that first period, which looked like they were starting to get under the Eagles' skin a little bit. So we'll see where the heat goes in this game. definitely some good intensity and emotion, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the game for sure.
Is there anything that really stood out as a down for the Canucks so far through that first period?
Really the only thing that was a down that I noticed was that first turnover early in the period, but other than that, nothing major, nothing glaring. It looks like the first and second team going at it head to head in the playoffs. Like it's 0-0 after one period of play. Shots are 7-5, pretty close together. Um, it's one penalty each, both killed off. I'd say yeah, it's gonna be a dogfight. We'll see what happens in the second here, but the Canucks are a second period team. They usually get a good talk and develop a good strategy based off what the team has shown them in the first. If they're not out in the lead, they usually come out flying in the second period and try and get one or two early and build a bit of a cushion.
Yeah, I mean, even at the beginning, I think they were down 3-0 in shots to start the game. So to kind of bring things back and have it 7-5 before the end of the period is a good sign that after they were down 3-0, they ended up winning in shots 5-4 for the remainder of the period. So that's a good sign that they were starting to turn things around.
For sure.
So we already chatted obviously about the new hire for the Vancouver Canucks as they have hired Adam Foote as their new head coach. They did finally have the official Adam Foote presser yesterday. So you did get a chance to watch that. I was wondering if your mood or your thoughts on Adam Foote being hired as head coach has been altered as a result of watching that presser, or is it just the same old, same old?
Um, I'm being cautiously optimistic about Foote.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did notice is a difference in the way he carries himself and just kind of a different air of humility, I guess. Um, he doesn't have an ego about him, and you could kind of feel an ego with Rick Tocchet anytime he approached the media. He's very honest about the fact that he doesn't really know how to coach offense and will be relying heavily on an assistant for that role. So that will be important that he surrounds himself with the right people. I think the relationships that he has with the players are important, but also he needs to realize that now he's shifting into a head coach role. So the friendly giant might have to shift a little bit and be a little more of an enemy sometimes. And so that may change some dynamics, and I'm not sure that he's ready for that. I mean, he did coach in the WHL, but that's a totally different group of guys, right? Like those are young kids. NHL, you're dealing with some boys, some men. You got a whole mix of ages, and I felt he said the right things, but I also feel like if he doesn't get the right team around him, then we're going to be seeing a lot more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he learned from Rick Tocchet, right? So, but he did say he has his own ideas about how things should kind of go, and I like his attitude of getting everyone to buy into the contract of, this is what it's going to take to win, and this is what we're going to need from everybody. Um, I think he understands better how to handle different players personally.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the comments he had about Pedersen made me feel a little more optimistic about the treatment and maybe just the public image that he's going to get when the coach kind of talks about him,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was nice and refreshing. So I'm 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 better than I was. Obviously, I'm still a little bit sad for Manny in the sense that I felt like he was ready. And obviously, I don't want to lose him to another organization like we did when we lost him to Toronto as an assistant for a few years. I hope that maybe he's considered as an assistant coach for Foote's bench,
Mhm.
and maybe he runs the offense or something like that. But we'll have to see. I know they're probably going to move quickly with deciding who they build as a team because they want to get moving on moving some players around and maybe possibly making some trades before the draft even gets here. I feel like Rutherford wants to get a move on with rebuilding that top six, and he doesn't see it happening through free agency. So I would expect between now and the draft for a lot more Canucks news than we're used to in the summer.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about, obviously, I think we both had the initial response of like, okay, Foote's head coach, who's going to run the offense? Have you had any kind of thoughts about assistant coaches who you might want to have an idea of who might be a good fit for the team? Like a Manny Malhotra, maybe, but is there anyone else who really stood out for you as somebody who could be a good offensive coach for the Canucks?
Well, I know the Sedins were involved. The Sedins were involved a lot this year with helping out during practices with the power play at times and things like that. So maybe one of them is ready to step into that role of full time behind the bench. Daniel could potentially be a really strong offensive head coach or a offensive assistant coach. Um, there's other names around the league, obviously, that have been head coaches before that are maybe looking for another chance to get back behind an NHL bench and will take that role as an assistant. Um, it's really hard to say because Foote is a rookie head coach, and we don't really know, who his friends are maybe that are in the coaching world that he might want to bring in. We're just gonna have to wait and see because it really is just up in the air right now. When they announce it, I'll obviously have an opinion about whether I think it's a good fit to help the offensive struggles that we went through. But for right now, it's really just, do you have any maybe ideas who you think like I thought maybe Gonchar gets promoted to a full-time defensive coach as well. Because him and Foote were kind of splitting the role for the last while, but that depends on whether Gonchar is ready to commit to that because I know a lot of the part-time stuff was his choice. So yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on it?
But like one random one that I thought might be a good fit was actually Mark Crawford as a former head coach. He has the experience and his offensive skills were very obvious. Obviously, you got the West Coast Express era of him coaching. He coached some really good teams over in Colorado. I don't know where he's at and what he's doing, but I know Foote had mentioned his name a couple times in his presser. So might be a good fit because then you got that experience on the bench of somebody who's run a bench, but also somebody who clearly understands a good offensive scheme.
Well, it has a ton of history with Adam Foote. I mean, they won their first Stanley Cup together. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want who wouldn't want a Stanley Cup winning coach on the bench with you, helping you out for your first time?
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if he'd be willing because I know Crawford obviously hasn't been in the league for a while. So it might be a way for him to get his foot back in the door as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Former head coach Rick Tocchet, immediately after Adam Foote was announced as the head coach, was announced as the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. How did you feel about that one? And
Shocking nobody. Like, come on. I literally called that like after Rutherford's presser. Like the second that job came up, I said Tocchett's going to Philly. Yeah, I mean he said that that's where his heart has always been. So good for them. They're gonna be experts at the dump and chase.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's talking
And
about this.
he's very happy about his practice facility.
It kind of felt a little like the Bo Horvat interviews after he left, where it was kind of like it felt like there was like slight shots because they talked about the practice facility, and he also talked about the stability of the Philadelphia Flyer organization, which I thought was a bit of an overstatement for how stable that organization is, because they are probably not going to be a playoff team next year, and I thought that was kind of strange. That I mean, the only reason he's there is because he used to play there, I guess. So
Yeah. we'll see how well Philadelphia does in the next couple of years and how their young offensive talent does.
Yeah. I hope they crash and burn.
I really, we've talked about it. He hasn't learned anything. He brings an arrogance with him of, I know better. And when they promoted Yogi, he was kind of just a Tocchet yes man, right? Like whatever Tocchet wanted, Yogi gave him. So I really think, he's Philly's problem now.
All right, good riddance to Tocchet. I'm going to talk to you about. There's a couple. This actually came out a little while ago from Adam on Twitter, but he made a point on Twitter of saying that Pettersson, since the start of the 23-24 season, is one of 10 forwards who has at least 195 hits and 145 block shots during the regular season. There's only 10 in the whole league. So what does that say to you? I'm
pretty sure I brought this up verbally, like at some point over the course of the season in defense of Pettersson, right? Like before this tweet even came out to like show me the actual numbers, because I'd said all the stuff that he does away from the puck is completely ignored. And it used to drive me crazy, and it still drives me crazy because fans still ignore it. Like the stuff he does on the penalty kill and the shots he blocks, and he does throw hits. But yeah, this year he was struggling with his strength, and he couldn't stand up properly when he was making hits because he didn't have a good off season. Excuse me. This summer, give him a chance to put some proper muscle on and come into training camp and prove everyone wrong. And I'm going to be so happy, and I'm going to just laugh and be like, ha ha, I told you all, he is gonna be fine. You don't give up on a kid. And Foote, the way Foote talks about how he's going to talk to Petey, I'm ready. I'm ready for the summer to get going, and I'm ready for the assistant coaches to get announced and just bring it on.
Dustin,
bring on the rest of this game.
Yes. We're going to watch 2 more periods, so enjoy the last 2 periods, and then we'll catch up in the post-game show, brother.
Absolutely. Enjoy, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Nothing is perfect.